Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And as you continue to move towards the tables, I'm going to welcome you to the 38th annual meeting of Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, and thank you for joining us. Before we get started, though, I just wanted to recognize some of our local and state and federal officials who are here today and thank them for their service. Please hold your applause until I finish the list. That would include Mayor Brad Kavanaugh, Councilmember Laura Russo, Councilmember Danny Sprank, Councilmember Katie Wethel, City Manager Mike Van Milligan, Corey Burbach, Assistant City Manager of Dubuque, of course, Joe Connors, Economic Development Director for the City of Dubuque, Todd Dalsing, Dubuque Regional Airport Manager. Representing our federal legislators, Brittany Carroll, Congresswoman Ashley Henson's office, Claire Gill, Congresswoman Ashley Henson's office. And by the way, Claire will be in that position for, I think, 2 or 3 more days. And she is an excellent hire by the Chamber. I don't know the title, but Legislative Liaison par excellence. So we're so thrilled with that. Yeah, please. Rochelle Fuller, U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley's office, and Kim Ream, Senator Joni Ernst's office. From Dubuque County, Supervisor Harley Potoff, Supervisor Ann McDonough, Supervisor Wayne Kennecker, and Kevin Dragato, Dubuque County Auditor. From the state of Iowa, Senator Pam Yoakum, Representative Chuck Eisenhart, Representative Stephen Bradley, and Tom Townsend, IEDA board member. And from surrounding communities, I'd like to welcome Jim Adams, Mayor of Asbury, Lisa Cotter, the City Administrator for the City of Cascade. Other economic development groups from around the area, we'd like to welcome George Davis, who is part of the Farley Industrial Development Corp., Jackie Ray from Dyersville Economic Development Group, who is a partner of ours and a member of our board of directors, Megan Burmeyer Pierce, Piasta Economic Development Corporation, and from Dubuque Community Schools, Superintendent Amy Hawkins, and Anderson Sanchi, a member of the Dubuque Public School Board. And I'd like to acknowledge partners, unique partners with Greater Dubuque Development Corporation that make possible so much of what we do with our Workforce Solutions programs, and that's Woodward Communications. Special thanks to Tom Woodward, Matt Conley, Marty Korfman, and Mike Fortman, who are with us tonight, and also Bob Woodward, who is a tremendous partner in all that we do. And we'll get into our staff at a later point. It's now my pleasure to introduce our most excellent chairman of the board, Joe Hearn. Come on up, Joe.
Thank you very much. Rick? Thank you, Rick. Welcome once again, investors, board members, and guests. I hereby call the 38th annual meeting of your Greater Dubuque Development Corporation to order. At Greater Dubuque, our focus is in 3 fundamental areas: workforce solutions, business services, and strategic initiatives. In the simplest terms, we collaborate with the public and private sector to support and grow our business community and their workforce, while constantly seeking to improve the region's quality of life. That is what we do. After successfully launching the first year of the You Can Be Great Here campaign, throughout the course of this fiscal year, the talented team at Greater Dubuque implemented numerous initiatives designed to retain, recruit, and develop the workforce we need. This including removing barriers to gainful employment, upskilling workers for high-demand jobs, connecting college talent to employers, and attracting newcomers to live and work in our communities. We also supported business expansion initiatives, and we leveraged data to assist in moving forward exciting new child care and housing expansion projects to help meet the critical needs of our growing workforce. Later on, our CEO, Rick Dickinson, will eloquently provide you more specifics on our activities and the goals which are highlighted in our annual reports on your table. So as not to steal his thunder, I'll wrap up my opening comments by saying this. Despite challenges we may face as we seek to reinvent our local economy, at Greater Dubuque, we are firmly committed to working closely together to create a vibrant region of choice that delivers on the promise You can be great here. Now on to the official business. On your tables, you'll find a copy of the minutes from the 2021-2022 annual meeting. Can I have a motion from the investors present to approve the minutes as presented? We have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge our 2022-2023 board members whose names are listed in the annual report on pages 18 and 19 and on the PowerPoint slide shown. I want to say it's an honor and a privilege to work with this dedicated and impactful group of community leaders, outstanding individuals. I'd also like to acknowledge our 2022-2023 future leadership team, also shown here and listed in the annual report. I want to say with this talented group of up-and-comers in our community, our future is off the charts bright. For 2023-2024, your Greater Dubuque Board of Directors Nominating Committee recommends the following candidates for continued board service: Wayne Brecken, Midwest One Bank; Lynn Breithaupt, McGraw-Hill; Jeff Bullock, University of Dubuque; David Curtis, O'Connor and Thomas; Alex Dixon, QRA Q Casino. DRA Q Casino, get that right. Fletcher Lampkin, Clark University. Dan Walsh, Capra Bank. Dean Wilgenbush, US Bank. Recommendations for new board members include Jorge Achave, Imon Communications; Matt Mulligan, Conlin Construction; Justin Moddett, Alliant Energy; Sidney Lovell, ITC Midwest; Mike Portson Jr., Portson Construction; Nicole Breitbach, Black Hills Energy, representing our future leadership team. New ex officio board members include Representative Shannon Lundgren from our Iowa State Legislative Delegation; Mike Fortman, TH Media, who's also the recent chair-elect of the Dubuque Area Chamber of Commerce. Listed on the screen are also the directors who are continuing their service on the board of directors. I want to thank you all for your commitment to Greater Dubuque. At this time, I'd ask for a motion for the board members present to affirm the director candidates as presented by your nominating committee. Can I have a motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, I'd like to thank our outgoing Greater Dubuque board members for their service. Tim Conlin and Conlin Construction. Tim has served as a Greater Dubuque board member since 2005, as a member of our executive committee since 2012, and was board chair in fiscal year 2015 and 2016. Terry Kuba with Alliant Energy. Terry has served as a member of the Greater Dubuque board since 2005. Rob McDonald with A.Y. McDonald. Rob has served as a member of the board since 2014. Now, it should be noted that Rob McDonald, Terry Kuba, and Tim Conlin are the first class of outgoing directors to have termed out under our bylaw limit of 2 consecutive 3-year terms of board service. This was established in 2017. Additional outgoing board members include Mike Portson with Portson Construction. Mike has served as a Greater Dubuque board member since 2010 and as an executive committee member since 2018. Dawn Lucan with John Deere Dubuque Works. Dawn has represented our future leadership team as a member of the board since 2022. Ex officio board member Senator Pam Yoakum from our Iowa State Legislative Delegation. Senator Yoakum has served as a member of the board since 2022. Let's pause and give these fine folks a round of applause in appreciation for their outstanding service. Heck, if they're here, we'll even buy them a drink. For 2023-2024, your nominating committee recommends the following slate of board officers. Chairperson, Alex Dixon, DRA Q Casino. Vice Chairperson, Lynn Breithaupt, McGraw-Hill. Treasurer, Dan Walsh, Capra Bank. And past chairperson, myself, Dupaco Community Credit Union. I would ask for a motion from the board members present to accept the slate of officers as presented by your nominating committee. I have a motion. Don't be shy. I have a second. Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Directors continuing their service on the Greater Dubuque Board Executive Committee includes the following: David Becker, Cottingham and Butler; Wayne Brecken, Midwest One Bank; Mayor Brad Kavanaugh, City of Dubuque; Mark Dixon, John Deere Dubuque Works; Karen Jones, Empower; Zach Keeling, Medical Associates; Wayne Kennecker, Dubuque County Board of Supervisors; Kay Takis, Mercy One Dubuque; Drew Townsend, Dubuque Bank and Trust; Tom Townsend, United Labor Participation; Mike Van Milligan, City of Dubuque; Dean Wilgenbush, U.S. Bank; and Tom Woodward with Woodward Communication. For 2023-2024, your board nominating committee also recommends the following new executive committee members: Jim Collins from my beloved Loras College, and Wendy Rundy, Diamond Joe Casino. I would ask for a motion by the members present to affirm the new executive committee members as presented by your nominating committee. Can I have a motion? Motion, do I have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, I would like to thank the following outgoing executive committee members for their dedicated service. Tim Hodge with Hodge. Tim has served as a Greater Dubuque board member since 2005, as a member of the executive committee since 2014, and was board chair in fiscal year 2021 and 2022. Tim remains on the full board. And Tim, I just want to thank you for preceding me as board chair, for showing me the way, and your mentorship, friendship, and support. I want to tell you it's appreciated, so wherever you are, thank you. Mike Porson with Porson Construction. And as previously mentioned, Mike is also resigning from the full board, and he will definitely be missed. But I know Mike, he's going to use his free time to squeeze in maybe a little more golf. So let's give these two gentlemen a round of applause and appreciation for their tremendous dedication and executive committee service. Winding in on it, folks, here. For 2023-2024, I'd also like to welcome our new future leadership team members, whose names and companies are listed on the PowerPoint slide. We also recognize those continuing service. And finally, special thanks to our outgoing future leadership team members whose names and organizations are also listed. We really appreciate their willingness to serve and their dedication. So as I conclude my service as board chair, I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to thank the board of directors, and I do see Bob Wethel, volunteer director here, the staff, the members of Dupaco Community Credit Union for their unwavering support and for allowing me to serve. And I also want to give a shout out. Happy 75th, Dupaco. Here's the 75 more. Give a little shout out to my predecessor, Dupaco, mentor Bob Hafer, friend, mentor. Thanks for being here, big guy. First citizen with his wife, Marilyn. And of course, I have to thank my ultimate boss, my beautiful wife, Tricia. She's always got my back at home, and I want to tell you I love you. So thank you. All right. Special thanks to Rick Dickinson and Karen Kleesner and the entire team at Greater Dubuque. I want to tell you, these are exceptionally talented individuals. They're a passionate group of difference makers, and they are a really pleasure to work with, a real pleasure to work with. And finally, I just want to thank each and every one of you for attending here today and your support of Greater Dubuque Development. Working closely together, the best is yet to come. So at this time, I'll turn the podium over to our President and CEO, Rick Dickinson, for his report. Rick?
When I told Joe that tonight is the largest crowd we've ever had for an annual meeting, he said, I don't know if it's to celebrate my leaving or Alex coming on board. But actually, it's celebrating the service of Joe for the last year, and we thank you so much, and you're a pleasure to work with. A little bit more on that later. It's my pleasure now to introduce the best economic development team in the country, and I'm not going to belabor it. I'm going to ask that each of our teams stand up, and I'll tell you just a snippet about who they are. First of all, Karen Kleesner, our Vice President of Operations. Karen keeps the trains running on time, and Joe running on time on occasion.
Amen.
Jason White, our Vice President of Business Services. Jason heads up our team both on the Workforce Solutions side and the Business Services side that includes our business retention and expansion and our recruitment side of the works. And Jason celebrated his second anniversary with us last May. Mandy Dolson, our Director of Workforce Recruitment and Retention. Mandy is our HR pro on staff. She came back to us after having a little jaunt following a significant other around the Midwest with his journey at John Deere, and we were blessed to have her back with us. She's the principal contact on accessdubukejobs.com and working directly with the HR community, and we're so grateful to have her as part of our team. Dan McDonald, everyone knows Dan, everyone loves Dan. Dan's our business retention and expansion specialist. He sits down with you, finds out what's going on in your world, and brings it back to the team, and we try to design solutions for the challenges that you have and double down on the opportunities that you express to Dan. Jenny Peterson-Brandt, newest addition to Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. She had a baptism by fire. She came on in April and then was responsible for the beautiful brochure you see in front of you and really getting up to speed and understanding this organization, and she is our Director of Communications, and we welcome her. Nick Hockenberry is our Director of Workforce Programming. Nick's our liaison on all things related to workforce with higher education, nonprofits, governmental agencies, and has significant experience as my counterpart in Jackson County as the economic developer down there for some time. Anna Rolling, Executive Assistant. Anna, too, is a return to Greater Dubuque Development. We're thrilled to have Anna back. She not only has an experience having run our Workforce Solutions program, but now she's stepping up and being a partner with Karen Kleesner on the operations of the organization, and she's that first voice you'll hear when you call Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. Dave Lyons, not an employee, but a contracted savant with Greater Dubuque Development, former director of the Iowa Department of Economic Development, now called the Iowa Economic Development Authority, former Iowa Insurance Commissioner, first appointed by Terry Branstad, then appointed by Tom Vilsack, a tremendous talent that handles many of the initiatives that we have, and he and his lovely wife, Sandy, are in Europe right now, otherwise they would be here with us. And then 5 folks who are the first contact for those of you that use our tour program, and please do if you haven't used that, because it's so impactful in trying to warm people to the beauty of this community and have that warm handshake when they first get here and have some connection beyond the employer when they interview for a job. And this marks, I think, 2,000. We had 2,000 go through the tour program? 2007. Okay, who's counting? So yeah, and these folks are the warm handshake, giving tours, and they're contracted for that service. Kristen Dietzel, of course, formerly with us, and now president of her company. Nelson Clavetter, who's here with us tonight, does a tremendous job. Chris Apple as well, understanding higher education, she does. Rob Apple has done it as sort of a backup for us, and we'll be doing more of that going forward. And the newest addition, Nicole Gantz. That is the best economic development team in the country, ladies and gentlemen. Would you please join me in giving them an applause? We also have had a lot of change at Greater Dubuque Development beginning on July 1. Always with us, but not in place, will be these 3 wonderful individuals. First of all, Rob Apple, our existing business specialist. Rob loves this community, loves the business community, and he's been Dan's sidekick on reaching out and trying to understand what's going on with business. Rob retired effective June 30th and still will be working with us, as I mentioned earlier, on our community tours. Jane Ervolino, and by the way, Rob was with us for 9 years. Jane Ervolino, with us for a decade. She was that voice you heard. She was that lovely touch to Greater Dubuque Development when you called our office. was a direct report to Karen. We'll miss Jane terribly. She's a wonderful human being and a great employee, and she is retired effective June 30th. And our friend Bill Baum, who also retired on June 30th. I had to beg his daughter, Natalie, today to share this news with you, but I wanted to because I know you would care. Bill's last day with us was on June 30th, and on July 3rd, he was diagnosed with a very serious health challenge. He had surgery at Rush Hospital in Chicago on Monday. It was very successful, although he's raising a fuss about eating his carrots, according to Natalie. He is recovering, he's up and around, and he's doing very well. I would invite any one of you, and I know so many of you know Bill, from his days working in city government in Dyersville for over 2 decades, running ECIA, East Central Intergovernmental Association, working with the City Economic Development Office for a number of years, and then being with us for the last 17 years. He's like having Obi-Wan Kenobi at your side. I would encourage each and every one of you, if you know Bill, or even if you just heard what a wonderful guy he is, if you would email us at Greater Dubuque Development Corporation any thoughts and prayers you might have for Bill in his recovery, we'll make sure we get that to him. And so let's give a round of applause to these 3 wonderful people. You Can Be Great Here. It's a 5-year capital campaign that we launched last year. We're completing the first year of that, and I want to give a brief summary of where we're at to goal. We had 5 goals as part of that campaign. The first is create 64,000 jobs in the metropolitan statistical area of Dubuque County by 2027. I'm pleased to report that we're at 61,300 as of May. We are now beyond the pre-COVID employment count and growing, and the greatest challenge to that statistic and that job growth is having available workforce. Next, you see that we have a goal of increasing the median household income to $76,000 per household, and I'm pleased to tell you that it's at $68,198. Looks like we will be achieving that goal prior to 2027. Even though inflation has subsided, wages are still escalating at about the same level as inflation, and that's because, again, of the challenge of workforce and the shortage that we have in qualified workforce. $1 billion in construction over a 5-year period. I'm pleased to announce we've already exceeded that per year, average of $200 million. We're really running toward $2.25 million based on the first year's outcome, and that's a combination of both commercial and residential development with an emphasis on residential. Related to the workforce is the population, and our goal is a very aggressive goal, probably the most aggressive of the 5, to reach 105,000 population in Dubuque County, the metropolitan statistical area of Dubuque, and we are at 98,677. This goal is going to take every one of us to do everything possible to tell the news about You Can Be Great here in Dubuque. It's about retaining talent, it's about recruiting talent, and it's about creating talent, that unemployed, underemployed population that needs to have the reward and the dignity of work through the power of education. And lastly, and associated to that, is reducing poverty by 5%. Right now, the poverty level in Dubuque, according to the data we have, is 9.3%. That's 2021. We do not yet have 2022 numbers. But this would mean that our goal is to get to 8.7% on a poverty level. But each one of those percentage points are hundreds of our friends and neighbors. And anything we do in economic development at Greater Dubuque Development needs to benefit those that have the greatest challenges in our economy. That's our report to goal. I want to briefly discuss what you have in front of you, and I will not be reading the annual report for you, but isn't it lovely? I cut out all the little bars here. Yeah, that's what I do. I'd like to touch first of all on workforce. It's no accident that Workforce Solutions comprises 5 pages of this document, and it's because it is so critically important to our community's future. I mentioned that Mandy heads up our accessdubukejobs.com, and in our brochure, at the back of the brochure, it lists the accessdubukejobs.com site. And again, thanks to the Telegraph Herald, Woodward Communications for their partnership in making that possible. The revenue that you pay, the participation fee, it's the only thing we charge for at Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, pays for the majority of our Workforce Solutions programs. Please be an investor in accessdubukejobs.com if you wish to be a contributor to achieving the goal of population growth and workforce creation in our market. You can see in the data that we're 9,519 accessdubukejobs.com average monthly job seekers. 9,000 people every month taking a look at that site to find a job. New resumes posted for HR professionals to review, 2,358. New jobs posted on the site, this is the gap, 28,524 jobs. You can see the rest of the data, but know that accessdubukejobs.com is a truly unique asset in our community, envied by everyone, but it exists here. Please use it. Community tours, as I mentioned, over 2,000. Distinctively Dubuque classes, 5 classes for newcomers, over 1,000 classes, over 1,000 participants in those classes. They range in size from 25 to 30, 4 classes a year. They meet other newcomers. Our first dinner, for example, is at Brazen. We want them to have an excellent experience in our community. They want to establish an alumni club. They love these opportunities to meet new people. And it is a tremendous asset, also managed by Mandy, and in our partnership and contracted with NICC, Northeast Iowa Community College, to be the facilitator of those 5 classes and that great entertainment for these wonderful newcomers. Also, as a community night of colleges, community of colleges night, I should say. One event held last winter was the Fighting Saints game. We had over 300 college students from all institutions of higher learning meeting each other, developing relationships, hopefully finding somebody that they'll marry and they'll stay in Dubuque and have a family and work at one of our companies. And I'm not kidding. So College Careers and Internship Fair, another great asset of our Workforce Solutions program. Opportunity Dubuque, another unique program to our community. In partnership with Northeast Iowa Community College, Greater Dubuque Development invests over $250,000 a year to pay for tuition for unemployed, underemployed population, working directly with employers, understanding what types of jobs do you need, and then working with NICC to make sure they have the curriculum and the programs available for training that talent, ranging from welding to computerized numeric controls to CNAs and phlebotomy. That is unique to your community. And thanks to your investment in accessdubukejobs.com, and thanks to your being investors in Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, we can afford this unique program. Our goal this year was to increase from 100 enrollees last year to 200 this year, doubling the number. Guess what? The number, as we sit right now, was 242 people, changing their lives through education and the reward of work. Next, you'll read all about business services. We talked to you about Dan and now Jason's work and the work that Bill and Rob provided to us for so many years. 305 interviews, info action interviews. You give us the information, we'll act on it. Were conducted in the last 12 months. You can see the list of what that motivated. Action by our office, our staff, working with the public sector and the private sector to affect change. Do we always get the results we want? No. But does any community do more to achieve those results? The answer to that is no as well. Business services and expansions. We had some great news this year. Growing Properties in Simmons, building a new 200,000 plus square foot distribution center on Seipel Road to join that great project at Simmons, which now employs over 400 individuals. Geisler Brothers, a new facility which was a partnership between Medical Associates, get this, Medical Associates, Dubuque Initiatives, and Geisler Brothers in the city, filled in a low area behind Geisler Brothers with a cut from property that Medical Associates developed on Chavanel Road, and working with the city, then having the ability to expand their operation off of Radford Road. Also, we have a Green Industries expansion of their distribution center. and most recently announced McCoy Group, acquiring the McGraw-Hill Higher Education Building, working with the city to acquire a parking space that will soon be finalized to be the next home for one of the fastest growing companies in the Midwest, and that's a unique company called McCoy Group. Let's give those 4 projects a hand for all that they do. Strategic Initiatives, which is a team sport headed up by Dave Lyons in many cases, includes childcare. I'm going to not spill any thunder because Alex is going to tell you a little bit about that. Also, housing. We understood there was an issue there. Alex is going to tell you more about that. Broadband. You're going to hear about a company called Imon in a little bit too. We'd like to thank them for doing a fiber to the home build out of the entire community. Let's give Imon a hand. And you can read about the rest. And again, thank you for our investors, our board of directors, for making this possible. Now, I'd like to talk about the elephant in the room. This headline that was seen in late April and early May. Concerned business folks who had issues with how they felt they were being handled, not just by the city of Dubuque, but also by Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. And as happenstance would have it, I received this email this morning. Without attribution, I want to share and paraphrase the content. Rick, I will attend and will do, this is, by the way, this was about an invitation that I provided to this business leader for a developers roundtable to be held on July 27th. We'll be sharing a little bit more about in a bit. Rick, I will attend and will do so with a skeptical point of view. The same players that have always been involved are still around this table, as in the past. Concerns have always been brought forward, and they have been met with a resounding no. When the answer is always no, people quit asking, and then pressure builds up until it pops, which finally it did. The city and Greater Dubuque Development Corporation have a lot to prove, because it was these two entities, which many consider to be one and the same, that allowed the situation to escalate to the point that necessitated the formation of a group of like minds, which resulted in these front page stories. My response: thank you for agreeing to attend. And by the way, healthy skepticism isn't a flaw, it's a strength. The key word is healthy. For me, healthy skepticism means being curious, hungry to learn and to inquire, in the search of the objective truth, not the truth that is comfortable and easy to believe in, but the truth that is independent of individual biases, independent of groupthink. I believe healthy skepticism is being humble. It means being willing to embrace objective truth once we see it, even if it means we have to change our minds. And lastly, I believe that healthy skepticism focuses on how we think rather than what we may believe. It is less about accumulating information, less about soliciting grievances, and more about how we process the information we have in our lives, in the nonprofit community, in the public sector, and in the private sector. We face new challenges, new situations, and thankfully, new opportunities. And to successfully navigate them, how we think and how we act matters more than what we think. We at Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, and I believe from its beginning in 1984, walk a razor's edge between the public sector and the private sector. I assure you that the private sector, as you just heard, in many cases believes we're too close to our elected officials and staff. And I guarantee you that our elected officials and staff think that we're way too close to the people we identify as our clients, which is the employment community. But that's our lot, and we accept it. And I believe we're effective with it. And it will always be a razor's edge. Uniquely performed here in Dubuque, more so than any other community. We just had one of the metros in the state of Iowa here on Tuesday, meeting with us at Greater Dubuque Development. They had more staff here than we had visiting with them, wanting to find out what the secret sauce was of what I just discussed. You know, it's difficult to be a prophet in your own land, and there's nothing about me that has to do with a prophet. But this organization and the board of directors of this organization and the investors are making sure that Dubuque performs. It's now my pleasure, well, I want to talk a little bit about the first step in this process to address the concerns that have been issued since late April. The first step is a developers roundtable. There had been a developers roundtable in Dubuque up until around 2011, and people stopped coming, and so they stopped having them. Well, it's time to reboot that. The first meeting will be held on July 27th. It will be the Dubuque Developers Roundtable meeting. It will be at 11:30 at the Diamond Joe, and it will be facilitated by Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, and we've contracted Dave Lyons to facilitate that meeting. Let me tell you a little bit about his bona fides on that. Dave Lyons is doing the same thing as we speak for the fastest growing city in the state of Iowa, West Des Moines. 4 years ago, West Des Moines wasn't getting along despite all the prosperity there. The business community was ticked off with the public officials and vice versa. And so they hired a guy named Dave Lyons, and he started an organization called West Lab, which is their equivalent of a roundtable, and has made a marked difference in what they do. Dave will be doing the same thing here in Dubuque. The meeting on the 27th, we've invited over 70, and we have 40 folks who have already committed to attend. The first topic will be the DRT. I hate acronyms. It's the Design Review Committee group that meets to talk about developments within the community. The DRT has had trouble because of pandemic. It takes too long. It's supposed to be a problem solver. We're going to talk about that and how to improve it and make it work for development and for the citizens. And the second topic of the 27th meeting is to identify what the future topics are. An invitation went out to these 70 folks from the city manager. It was followed up by phone calls from Greater Dubuque Development and emails and conversation with me, and I believe that is the first step to making sure that, once again, we're the greatest community and region in the country. I'd like now to invite Joe Hearn to come up, if you would, Joe.
Okay, there you go. Good job, Rick. Thank you. Hurry up.
Every year we have a little thank you for our outgoing chair, and it's still hot from the laser cutter. I think we got it about 25 minutes ago, Joe. But it's congratulates you on your service as the chair of Greater Dubuque Development for 2022-2023. Let's give him a hand, please. And I had a little help from Tricia on our little gift here. And all I can say about it is no longer can you ask for strokes in your foursome.
Okay.
You need to give strokes when you use this prize.
Okay, I will.
Okay, so let's give him a thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know how you package up a new golf swing, but I'm game. So, anyway, I just want to say it's been an honor and a privilege to serve, and I'm not going anywhere because this community is on the move, and we're going to be a part of it together. Well done, Rick. I'm not going to ask for any motions. You've heard enough from me, but I'm going to tell you it's my pleasure, gang, to introduce and welcome to the podium the new board chair of your Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, Mr. Alex Dixon from Q Casino. Now, this gentleman, I want to tell you, is truly amazing. He's going to do a remarkable job for us and leading us forward, and I look forward to hearing what he has to share, and I know you'll be excited as well. So take it away, Alex, and onward and upward.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it. Thank you to the Board of Directors of Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. Thank you, Rick and Karen and the entire team. I want to give a couple of shout outs to our team here at Q Casino and DRA. Thank you for the amazing hospitality. I really appreciate it. We've acknowledged all of the guests in attendance, but I want to give a special shout out to our union partners who represent so many of our workforce and team members here. Thank you guys for all that you do as well. I want to first just walk through a couple of things. One is just give you a little bit of background and introduction. We'll walk through a couple of exciting things that are happening here at the DRA and Q Casino, as well as talk about a number of the great things. And really, as we work through the next steps in development within our community, it's really important that we talk about roles and responsibilities. And we're going to talk and highlight some of the processes that we've been able to put in place here with the Greater Dubuque Development Corporation to be able to help us advance. So taking a step back, again, my name is Alex Dixon. I humbly serve as the president and CEO here at Q Casino and the DRA. But by way of background, I'm born and raised in Las Vegas. My family, we migrated from the Deep South in the Great Migration. We left the plantations in Alabama and Louisiana. We moved out to Vegas in the 50s when Vegas was really growing and blossoming. I had an opportunity after graduating high school there in Las Vegas to attend Howard University in Washington, D.C. I studied finance and started my career with Goldman Sachs in New York on Wall Street doing investment banking within the oil and gas sector. Then moved to London, had a great time over there, but I finished my career with Goldman in the LA office. We were advising Disney when they bought Pixar. I had a beautiful opportunity where I met my wife, and we started our family, moved to Las Vegas, and started our family, now 3 kids. And I started at a boutique investment bank there, and then moved later to Caesars Entertainment. And really, that's where I started my gaming career. As gaming started to grow across the country, we moved to Maryland, where we helped to open up Horseshoe Baltimore. We hired 2,200 people and got that development off the ground. We then relocated to Springfield, Massachusetts, where we worked with MGM Springfield, developed a $1 billion resort right in that community. It's about 14 acres, hired 3,000 people, and really helped to refurbish that community to bring some energy. Unfortunately, my role was going to be cut there in Massachusetts, but I landed as a president and chief operating officer at Circus in Las Vegas. It was the 11th largest hotel in North America. We sold that property for about $825 million in the end of 2019. I then joined a former colleague from Goldman and was running a third-generation family-owned business doing laundry. We had about 1,200 people doing laundry. COVID hit, and we went down to 45. It was a tough time in our community. We had about 30% unemployment in the state of Nevada. We came out of that, and I got a call from good old Dubuque, Iowa. And we, as you heard in that stop, had never lived in the Midwest. We had never lived in a more rural community, but we came here and we had dinner with Kevin Lynch and my good friend Rick Dickinson. And we talked about the DRA, and quite frankly, we fell in love with the mission. I spent a lot of time, promoting Dubuque around the country, and we talk not only about the Field of Dreams, we not only talk about our great rich history here and the great family-owned businesses that are here, but we talk about literally this concept of a nonprofit casino. And it's been simply amazing to be able to see just the development that has taken place with here in our community. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we start to talk about our goals in terms of population, but wanted to just provide a background. I wanted to say thank you. I'm deeply appreciative of this opportunity. When I left Las Vegas, I was scheduled to be the chair of the Vegas Chamber of Commerce. It's the largest business organization, and unfortunately had to not take that opportunity because this opportunity here was just too good to pass up. Dubuque is a great place. I describe it to people, I say it's a simple life, and I mean that in the most positive, direct sense of the word simple. I have a 7-minute commute. I'm able to get home to see my kids. We're able to do great things. It's safe, it's clean, it's neat. And I think we have the ingredients to be a great American city. We're great as we are today, but in order to get to where we want to, we've got to kick it into high gear. And we're going to talk a little bit about process, we're going to talk a little bit about projects, but so much of it is that we've got to believe. We've got to believe that we're great. And then we've got to have a project plan to be able to execute it. And so we're going to start talking here just in a second about some of the things that we have going on right here under our nose. So right here at Schmidt Island and Q Casino, we are very blessed that we, as a community, are really shareholders of a company. The DRA is a 501c4. We're one of 2 nonprofits in America that is literally in the gaming business. We have a tremendous relationship whereby we now give 1/3 of our profits to the city, 1/3 go to charity, and now 1/3 go towards local development. And so as a part of that development, we need to reinvest in ourselves. And the golden goose here is this form of entertainment. And it started back in the mid-'80s when we here in Dubuque were at about 25% unemployment. And we said we're going to band together, raise $7 million, put together an organization to build a Greyhound racetrack. But things evolve. And ultimately, the random outcomes that take place right outside these doors at the Greyhound facility for 37 years, ultimately technology came about. That technology is called the microchip. It looks like a slot machine. And so the random outcomes that took dogs, that took land, that took a number of things have then been replaced by these machines that we see here today. And those random outcomes have now produced a great business for us. But now it's time to reinvest. And so what you see here on the screen is the new casino that will take place. What you're sitting in today is a temporary casino that we built, that once we get through the summer, once Jelly Roll and everyone else finishes out there at Backwater Stage, we will be able to, thank you to our banker, I see Midwest One and Wayne, the whole team, will be able to close on a loan to then be able to usher in roughly about $135 million development here. And that's comprised of a great partnership with the city of Dubuque to go get federal funds through the Department of Transportation to build a $40 million overpass and improvement to 16th Street. We were very fortunate to work out of the stimulus funds from the Biden administration through Governor Reynolds. Governor Reynolds put in place a Destination Iowa grant. We were moving forward with a little over $15 million outdoor amphitheater that will take the old Greyhound racing facility and convert that into productive land and put it to good use. We then are going to partner with our local private development. We've been saving money for the last 3 years, and they're going to put forward this $75 to $80 million development, the first step of which will be this main casino. In October, upon all regulatory approvals, we'll get moving. So we'll move all of the casino that you walk through today into this temporary. We'll then go to the lower part, and we will then redo that. And here's some of the images of what will come. We'll then take this area that is right here by the sports book. This will become a new family entertainment zone. You think of a Smash Park or Dave & Buster's, someplace that we will be able to entertain all these Little League teams and get them out of our corridors of our Hilton Garden Inn here, and we'll get them into an arcade, and this will be the best place to be able to entertain them, but really to be a place where, again, from a business perspective, we will take land where we don't pay federal tax, and then produce more assets that produce cash so that we can give more money to give back to the city, to lower property taxes, so that you can go out and grow. And so my motto is that, we keep property taxes low so that you can grow. And that's really the mission and the mantra in what we're doing and why we're doing it. So next, we've got a brand new hotel. This will be an 8-story, roughly 108 rooms, 18 suites. It's going to be simply amazing. The rooftop restaurant that we'll be able to look out onto a bridge that one day needs to be lit. We've got an opportunity here to capture not only the growing hospitality business, but to make this the destination right here on Schmidt Island that we all know it can be. Here are some of the images of the inside, and you can start to see, again, the lobby, the touches. And so this is a Tapestry brand. We've been working for a year and a half to say, hey, Dubuque is now rising to the level when we're welcoming the Yankees, when we're welcoming the Cubs like we did. We need to have the hospitality experiences that reflect the community on the rise that we are. And so this, look, is probably a bit more over the top than what we've done in the past, but we deserve it. Our motto is, we deserve nice things. We deserve nice things. You do not have to drive to Chicago. You do not have to drive to Des Moines. You do not have to drive outside of our community to experience the things that we can have. There's money here. There's money in our community, right? And we've got to deploy it here, but we have to believe in ourselves. And so as you look on this next page, I've never been so inspired by a hotel corridor, but just imagine, walking down that corridor to a great suite here in our community. And this is not pie in the sky. This is not far off. We've got the bank financing from you who deposit in your local banks in your community here to be able to build this. So here's just another view of the interiors of the room. This is just a typical master king, and you see a double there as well. But you look at the finishes. You look at the olive. You look at the wood. You look at that bathroom. You look at the sconces. This is going to be able to, one, not only generate a significant rate, but it also kind of help to set the tone when we're recruiting, in many cases, your kids. When your kids come back to visit you in your community, you will want them to be able to experience a place that says, look at where we're going. Look at where we are. So one of the things that we're talking about here in our community, right, is not only just what is happening here at Q Casino, but is what is happening on the island. Again, we have 200 acres of land that we, the city of Dubuque, own here on this island. We happen to be able to operate and lead our facility here, but it's not just about us. And so literally about a year and a half ago, I can't remember it, Mike, but our city manager and I, we worked together closely on all this because none of it happens without our city council, without our mayor, without our board who helps us to be able to go through. And we had a conversation about how can we help up and not only just help the city with the checks that we write, but how can we shoulder the opportunity of helping to manage more facilities? And one of those facilities was the ice arena here on our island here, Schmidt Island. And so we've taken over and stepped up and provided great leadership, and I'm thankful for that. But it also takes great partners. It takes great partners. And tonight, I'm so pleased not only to announce, but help to welcome to our business community, I'm On, who is, you know well, who is connecting our community, who is connecting our business, but they have stepped up. They're physically here. They are physically here in our community. And before I announce what this group has done, I'd like to acknowledge and have each of them stand for just a minute. We are welcomed here by the CEO, Patrice Carroll, Tom Brown, Jorge, Cindy, and Eric. If I could have the I'm On team please stand. And keep standing. We have a dream. The City Council approved the master plan for Schmidt Island back in 2014. It was updated in 2017. When I was able to join this organization, the board asked me, said, hey, Alex, what is your vision? I said, it's not about my vision. This is about what the community wants, because it wrote a plan. And now it's our time to go get it done. But it takes partners. And tonight I'm very proud to announce that we've reached a deal with I'm On Communications, led by CEO Patrice Carroll, for a $500,000 naming rights deal for the Dubuque Ice Arena. We are working through the name, but let's give it up for I'm On. I want to personally thank you. You came down, we went up to see you, you've been back many times, but we're grateful because it's this type of investment to be able to help make this a reality that is going to not only make this development plan a reality, but it's going to help this community grow forward. Thank you. Thank you, Patrice, and again, thank you, I'm On. We're very grateful, and I cannot wait till we can unveil the new exciting, the name, the image, the logo, the branding. Great job to the Fighting Saints, great job to University of Dubuque, and to all of our user groups that are there. So with that, there's so many things that we have to tell. There's so many things that we have to tell. One of the first things I did when I was coming to Dubuque was I went and Googled. I said, hold on, I fell in love with the story. We came out, but, I moved pretty quickly. And it was about 2 days before getting on the flight that I said, hold on, where are we moving? Literally, and it's like, oh, where are we going? And so we start Googling. And you look at the digital presence and what are all the things that you can really understand about the community. We moved a lot, and so if you can't find good people, there's something wrong with you, not the place you're going. So once you get past that, then you say, okay, where is it? And I'll tell you, and I'll be very blunt. There were elements of the Dubuque story that every 10 years it felt like there was some national media organization who would come in and do a story and talk about the things that were going on. And I'll be blunt, some of those things are not pretty. You can imagine maybe the healthy skepticism that arises when a group of people aren't able to tell their story and a national media organization may be able to reframe about what's going on, what's happening on the ground. And so when I came here, I said, hey, I not only want to experience what I felt from the board, from the organization, now from the community of being welcomed in, but it's a passion of mine that we have to be able to control our narrative, because if not, other people will do it for you. And so we're launching a podcast, which is a new medium, and said, hey, everyone's got a podcast, but since I've been here, I've not heard one that is by Dubuque, for Dubuque. And so we're doing it. And so we're excited tonight. We have available from wherever you get your podcast, a podcast called Dubuque Rising. And I'd like to just take a minute, Chuck, if you've got it available, let's just give a little bit of a snippet of what is coming.
Dubuque Rising with Alex Dixon, a surprising gem on the Mississippi. A podcast series hosted by Alex Dixon, President and CEO of DRA and Q Casino. Each episode strives to connect the past to the future through the stories and voices of the people who play a role in the betterment of Dubuque, a great American treasure located on the shores of the historic Mississippi River. Dixon's conversations with featured guests cover a variety of timely topics and reveal big ideas, all while shining a positive light on the rich history and evolution of the community. There are so many wonderful stories about the rich community-first innovation that has occurred in Dubuque over the years, allowing the community to survive and grow into a destination place where thousands of people live, work, and play on a daily basis. Season 1, which features 4 separate episodes, is currently available for download. Visit dradubuque.com to listen and subscribe.
So our first guest is Gary Dolphin, and so he is a Dubuque treasure that needs no introduction. But I think what's so important is that we capture people's story, and I call Gary the biggest export of the city of Dubuque. But when you break it down, what Gary did was capture the hearts, minds, and attention of a medium, meaning radio, that was able to share our story above and beyond our shores. And he's still rooted here today, and so that's where we're starting. But we're going to have guests to be able to talk about tough topics, talk about many things that are going on. And there are so many other folks. We've got Raquel McClellan from the Dream Center, Gary Stoppelman, who I think is here tonight, and the congratulations to the Museum of Art and all the things that they're doing. John Sutter to talk about the Field of Dreams, and Molly and Allie, and we'll have the mayor and Rick and so many others as we move forward, because there's a lot going on here, and we've got to capture that story. And print is an amazing part, but I look forward to potentially partnering with so many of our media organizations to be able to help tell this great story. So next I wanted to talk a little bit about process, and who, after seeing all those great things, really wants to talk about process, but it's really, really important as we talk about the role and responsibility. Rick spoke a minute about, he said, hey, the elephant in the room, we'll hit that in here in just a second. But I want to take number one as we think about housing and what is the role of GDC? What really do we do? And so first and foremost, organizations like this not only help to generate new business of people coming to the market, we help to foster and grow. But one of the things when, again, Googling saying, hey, I'm going to Dubuque, well, where are we going to live? And one of the things I looked, it says, hold on. I'm Googling at Zillow, and there's only like 40 places to rent. Like everywhere we move, we rent for a couple of months, and then you go buy a house. But I'm like, look, 60,000 people, but 40, that's not a lot of available places to rent. Then you go and look and say, hey, well, is there 3, 4 bed? We got a big family. We got 8 people now. My in-laws moved in with us. My brother-in-law just moved in with us, and so we needed a space. And so if you look at Cedar Rapids, they're about twice our size and population. They have about 800, apartments available for rent. We have about 40. So twice the number of people, but, significantly more units available. So we know that there was a shortage in our community, but this is where process matters. Greater Dubuque Development Corporation doesn't just say, oh yeah, I know it's an issue. Oh yeah, I think we should think about it. What this organization does is take your resources, goes out and commissions a study, and develop a housing needs. And ultimately, that housing need says that, yes, we are about 1,100 units short. We need more housing for rich people. We need more housing for poor people. We need more housing in the middle. We know exactly what type of housing that needs. We know the price point. We know the replacement costs. This was led by Dave Lyons and helped to commission, and it helped to develop a baseline. Your Greater Dubuque Development Corporation went together and put together a strategy. It says, hey, we need to take this issue, articulate that, and work with the city to increase support for workforce housing through tax increment financing. And then second is expand workforce housing programs. And so then as a result of not only just the study, not only of just the changes in policy, but what we now need to make sure is that we have a business environment where our bedside manner, as well as the policies and activities, yield great results. And so last week we saw in the paper, and what we know is my good friend Matt Mulligan, who's president over at Conley Construction, has outlined and developed, I think for first in a very long time, spec housing track where people can invest as well as build their housing here in our community. And it's so critical. And so what we now have is a great review. Here, what we see on this page is a pipeline of residential development that we know this is the developer, this is the plot, this is the number of units, and this is how we're going to attack a problem like this. And we need our banking community, we need our local investors, we need local people, we need local homeowners, we need everyone. Pick up hammer, pick up nails, go take out loans, go invest equity in order to be able to solve this problem. Our housing stock is old. We have to make this happen or we're not going to be able to hit our goals. But process matters. We have wants, desires, we speak up, we articulate it, we then take it to whether it's the council or the private sector, and then we get after it, and then we build. And now we have a scorecard so we can have wins and losses. And we got to make this successful, because for that next group of people who are coming, we will not hit our population growth if we do not have a place to give them to live. So the next piece, and I thought I saw the Butler family. Where's Mr. John Butler? He left. So I really want to give a shout out to Cottingham and Butler and the Butler family specifically for their leadership within here, because again, issue, childcare. We have an issue, and there's an issue all over the country, as well as here within Iowa. But our group here says we're not just going to talk about it. We, behind the scenes, and great job to Rick, and we've gone out with the Future Ready Iowa grant program. We've got a child care business incentive grant, a little over $2 million at the Dubuque Industrial Center West. It's a multi-employer child care center. We received $3 million from Cottingham and Butler. $1.7 million at the kids at 20 West Industrial Center. 26% of this funding was awarded. We have 538 new child care suites. So this is the great example of the state working, our county working, our city working, our private sector working, the Greater Dubuque Development Corporation working to be able to deliver. I believe well over half of the child care funding that went out came here to Dubuque County to be able to get this stuff going. And so that is an effective group to be able to move forward. And I want to thank Rick for your leadership. I want to thank this group for moving forward. But it's taking an issue, taking it down into bite-sized chunks, and then getting after it. Here's a great view of the new complex. You see some of the interiors that are going to be developed, and I can't wait for us to be able to walk into that facility, to see none of my kids there because they're old and they're at the high school, and I can't wait. I love holding the babies, but I'm glad I'm out of that stage. But this is amazing for our community, and only in Dubuque. So the last slide here is really where I want us to look at it and to soak it in. This slide, for those of you who can't see, is a percentage change in population and employment since 2010. On the far right of this chart, you will see the green lines show population, and the purple line shows employment. To the far right, you see Clinton County, and to the far left, you see Des Moines. And right in about the middle, you see Dubuque. I want to pause and I want to ask, how does this make you feel? What was that? We could be better. What other feelings? How does it make you feel? Mediocre. Middle. Work to do. When I see this, to me it says, hey, look, it's cold in Des Moines, just like it's cold in Dubuque. Right? It's cold in Cedar Rapids, just like it's cold in Dubuque. It's cold in Clinton, right? So I'm happy, hey, yay, we're not Clinton, right? Like, and nothing there, but if you aren't saying there is no reason why we cannot be on that left side of this column, then you're in the wrong room. Because if you're happy just with the way things are, if you're happy and your business, like ours, is not directly impacted by the number of people that are in our direct population, then this is the wrong room for you. Then we have the wrong slogan, you can be great here. But if we want to be great here, the same way we just talked about process, about childcare, about housing, is how we have to attack population growth. Every policy that we advocate for, or every policy or every opportunity that we have to think through the lens of, does this help us grow, attract, or retain population? We had an opportunity as you walk through this door here to learn about a $150 million bond referendum that will be hopefully on the ballot. We are probably, after your support here tonight, about 600 votes away from that initiative to be able to help have a new middle school as well as a new air conditioning here for our community. If we want to grow, what do we have to do on that initiative? Pass it. Because when I looked online and I said, okay, hey, this is great, but there's no air conditioning in the school, you got to question and say, all right, hey, are we really passionate? Do we really care? Do we want it? Do we want to grow? Or are we just happy with our kids going to hot schools, with our teachers going to hot schools? And so this, with every fiber of our being, we need to make sure that in 10 years from now, whoever is sitting in these seats are looking at a chart that doesn't look like this. And I'm asking you to commit. And not only just commit pats on the back, not only just to commit philanthropic dollars, we need to commit equity. And by equity, I mean cash out of your pocket to either invest, to take out loans, to make sure that we are growing our business, growing our housing base. And I'm not putting money where, I'm putting money where my mouth is, in the sense that since we've been here in Dubuque, my wife, who leads that side of our business, she's bought 7 houses here in Dubuque. We're renovating 7 places. The old Prescott School, we just renovated. Thank you to both DB&T, who invest in one half, and Capra, who invests in the other. We need everybody. We need all the money. Because if we don't do that, the people who come here will either not be able to be welcomed, but we won't have a place for them to stay. And I share that because it's the level of not only passion I have, it's the level of business opportunity. When we invest $150 million in our school, $130 million out here, when Rob McDonald builds over in Wisconsin, that's still going to help Dubuque. When we do all the things that you are doing here, the housing values are going to increase. So we're not doing it just to, hey, it's a nice thing to do. We are getting ready to take off as a community. And you can either be an investor or you can sit on the sidelines. I thank you for your time, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Let's go be great, Dubuque.
Hey, that's a hell of a job.
Well, I hope you're inspired, because I am. And all I can say is hang on. Because we have some shakers and movers here. I'd like to thank Joe for your past service. It was a tremendous year. I talked about caring and humility and all the things that are essential. You are one of the most caring individuals I've ever had the pleasure of working with. You're humble, and you really don't have anything to be humble about. You're a phenom, and your love for your team, for your community, and for your family is second to none. Alex, I had the pleasure of serving on the board of directors of the DRA, and considering your application. I described you as a go-go guy in a community that needs to go. And you've never disappointed. This is a phenomenal, exciting operation here on Schmidt Island, and I thank you for being the leader of that. Thank you for our public officials who are here. I think we underestimate your sacrifice. We appreciate all that you do in public service. Thanks to the private sector for making this economy what it is. Let's all take the advice from our team and be successful. The bar is open. I don't know if there's any of those desserts left, but if there are, shame on you. Thank you for coming. Let's give yourselves a hand. Thank you for joining the Greater Dubuque Development Corporation annual meeting.
Your life can be great here.
Your career can be great here. Your accomplishments can be great here.
Your future can be great here.
You 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 can be great here.